Hi, welcome back to my channel, guys. Today I am cleaning my saddle and tack, and I'm actually going to set the leathers today. Finally getting around to setting those dang stirrup leathers. So, what we're going to need is some sponges. So I have my sponges here. I have my leather cleaner, which it's backwards. It's Lexol. It's a 3-in-1 leather cleaner. And let me tell you, this stuff is amazing. I love it. I really will not use anything else. It works wonders. So, as you can see, I have all my stuff hanging here on my saddle. I'm going to go ahead and take this off. Take the little saddle horn cover off. And this is the aftermath of a muddy ride. Yeah, that's wonderful. So I'm going to go ahead and lay this stuff down. I'm going to go through that separate. Take my saddle sack off. So I'm just back to bare minimum. So I'm actually going to clean it first and then set it so that y'all can see how to set the stirrups and everything. Let me adjust it so you can actually see the stirrups. All right. Out. Excuse you. Thank you. Okay. So these bottles, they have like a little protector right here. You gotta like pop that off. So now it should spray. I put it on the mist one. There's 2 different settings. I put it on the one that sprays water. There you go. Get a quick scene of that. And I use these little sponges. First, I'm going to use one in this bowl of water right here. And just kind of wipe it down to get all that big chunks of dirt off. So like the stirrup has all this mud on it right here. I'm going to get that all off before I even go to the leather cleaner. So let's go ahead and get that started. And you don't want it to be sopping wet. In fact, I'm going to get a towel in a minute and put under my saddle. Because I am doing this inside. Usually I'll do it outside. But I'm doing this inside because it is freezing cold outside. So I'm from Louisiana. I don't do cold. And it's cold outside today. So I'm going to go ahead and get in here and get all this mud off. Alright. And I'm just going to show y'all one side. Obviously, you're going to do the same for both sides. But I'm just going to show y'all one side so it's not a super long video and like doesn't get dragged out like some of my others. So I'm learning. I'm learning how to do this YouTube stuff, guys. I'm learning. So that stirrup's nice and clean. The leather is nice and clean. Because mostly what you want to clean is the leather. The aluminum, I could just hose that off. But the leather is what we're going to clean the most. So I'm going to come up here, get my sponge, clean this side. I got a little bit of mud right here from just handling it while I was muddy, which was a no-no. And clean the saddle horn. I'm assuming y'all can see this. So clean the saddle horn, clean the candle, just wipe it all down. And it will darken your leather. I'm just going to warn you now. The stuff that I use, it darkens the leather. I don't mind. I prefer a dark leather. So if you don't want your leather darkened, I would suggest looking into something that doesn't darken the leather up or anything. For me, I couldn't care less. I like the dark leather. So I'm actually going to take this off. So it has a little thing. Oh, man. See the back of that? Mud. So we're going to actually bloop and then scrub it. Just really get all that mud and whatnot off. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and clean the whole thing because I am going to oil everything. So everything's getting clean today. Obviously the nylon, you don't put the oil on that. You're just going to clean the inside of it with the wet sponge. My dogs are bored now. They're just staring at me like I'm crazy. So, that's nice and clean. I'm going to set that right there. Then I'm going to come to these back straps. This one's actually not too bad. But these, I can't take off. I don't want to take them off if I did, but I can't take them off. So I'm going to come, rinse my sponge, and then just clean these where they are. So I'm used to cleaning, I've cleaned several English saddles. So English saddles, you really take them apart. Like you take them down to the bare minimum. And so now I'm going to flip this up. Since I've already cleaned the underside. I've already cleaned the stirrup, so it's not going to get my saddle horn muddy again. But I'm going to go ahead and clean this underside here with, again, the sponge dipped in water. And I might go ahead and take this off. If I can get it off. It's kind of tight and I don't have the strongest wrists. Okay. So this is not too bad. It does have some mud on it, so we're going to go ahead and clean that. Just get that off. And then I'm going to set that right here as well. The front of that camera is about to get real busy. So, and the cool thing about this is I can pull it up and just wipe this whole thing. And since I have not oiled it at all, since the beginning, since when I got it, I have not oiled this at all. So I might actually go ahead and take all this apart. But you don't have to, but I will. But I want to show y'all how to set it first before taking all that apart. So after you get it clean, you wipe the saddle seat too. Because Lord knows you wipe stuff on the seat of jeans and then you sit in the saddle. So we'll go ahead and wipe this down too. I'm not 100%. I'm assuming it's not going to do anything but help it to oil this. It's a mock elephant seat. Definitely any leather seats. Suede, I wouldn't recommend putting the oil on the suede. That's just going to be nasty. Yeah, I'm not sure. And then the rough out, because it's so flat now, I'm not even worried about it. I'm not going to oil that. I'm just going to wipe it down. But if you don't, I mean, your rough out's eventually going to get flat. But if you really want to make it last as a rough out, you could just brush that off. Like just with a light, soft brush, brush it off. So I'm going to get in here and replenish my water. Get in here. Just wipe it all down. Because there is mud, flies up in the back. Trotted in mud. It flies everywhere. And we did. So I'm going to go ahead and clean the rawhide here. And just get in those little crevices. And if you are more comfortable with a rag, you can use a rag. It just might, if you have like a rough rag, it might scuff it up a little bit. So you might not want to use a rag. I've always just been taught to use sponges. So we got it all wiped down. All the big mud is off. So now I'm going to put this wet one to the side. I'm going to take out a new sponge. So you're generally going to use between 2 and 4 of these little sponges. They're not very big. I'm going to go ahead and spray this. And I'm going to like soak it in. I'm making a mess, but I'm going to squeeze it and let it soak in a little bit. And then I'm actually going to start rubbing with the drier side because it's going to squeeze the oil through. So it's not just like, boom, oil on one spot. So I'm going to start rubbing and you'll see the oil starts coming through. We have to put a liberal amount now. You don't want to, sorry about that. Obviously I'm filming on my phone, so if I get a message or something, it is coming through you guys. All up in there. So you see how it's a little bit darker now that I've put that oil on there? I'm going to go ahead and oil these too. Okay, so you want to keep them nice and flexible. You don't want them drying out and getting stiff, because then you can't tie them. So And my little cinch holder there. I'm going to do the edge of my rawhide, just because that is a part that can get dried out quickly. And do under here, under here. Sorry, I was blocking it with my hand. Here you go. Under here. And you may have to come back and like replenish your oil. So I just do 2 little squirts. Come back. Get under here. Really keep all this nice and moisturized. And I am doing this the hard way for the video. Usually I'll have me a little chair like this one in here, and I'll be sitting here and really getting in there. But for you guys to be able to see, I can't do that because then you won't be able to see. I will be blocking it. So I'm going to go ahead and hook this back up here. And like I said, I will take this completely apart, take the stirrup off and everything, and really do these leathers. But obviously I'm just showing you guys a short version. Whoop. This is just the short, temporary version. And I do recommend, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it all the way. Like clean all your little parts. So I'm going to go ahead and oil my stirrup leathers here. Well, this leather on the stirrup. I know it's not the same thing. There's stirrup leathers and then leather on the stirrups. So, let's get these little edges. I'm sorry, I'm not even in the camera. Get up in here real good. And then, of course, if you take your stirrup off, it's easier. I'm going to do that in a minute, but I want to just give you all a quick how-to first. Okay, so clean. You want to get in here, get the underside of everything, especially right here that rubs the horse, because that can get dry, rotted, because the skin is rubbing against it and it's salty, and it's going to dry it out. So you get those edges real good. Get underneath your leathers here. Really get in there. And again, it's easier if you take it apart. So now, then you come back with your damp one and wipe off the excess. So it's still damp. So we're going to go ahead and wipe off all these bubbles. Wipe off this excess oil. Get in there and get all those bubbles off of there. See how it's all bubbly? That's just extra. You don't need to leave all that on there. And a little tip, or something to think about, the more you oil your saddle, the heavier it will be. So if you don't want a heavy saddle, I'd recommend just regular wiping it down with a damp cloth, but not damp enough to like where there's going to be setting water on it, because it will soak that up and that will make it heavier also. So, little tip, oil makes the saddle heavy. So if you don't want a heavier saddle, you don't want to oil it too often. This is only the first time I've oiled it since getting it, and it's 4 months old now. So I probably won't oil it again for another 4 or 5 months. I don't know. It'll be a while before I oil it. I don't oil very often. Now, I will oil my other equipment more. So like my bridle, my breast collar, and my cinches, and these I will oil more often. But the whole saddle, I will only wipe it down. I won't oil it regularly, because then it's going to get like ridiculously heavy. I have an old saddle. It's like 50-something years old. And I learned the hard way that if you oil it regularly, it's going to get heavy. So I don't want this saddle to get super, super heavy. So this is going to be probably the first and only oiling of this year. And only because it's super muddy, and that mud really soaks the water out of your saddle. So I don't want it to dry and get all dry rotted. I mean, it's a brand new saddle. I would be distraught if it got all dried out and everything. So that's just a basic how-to on oiling the saddle. And of course, you do the seat and everything else, and you do in all detail. Then I'm actually gonna soak the stirrup leathers. This part right here. This is gonna get soaking wet. I'm just gonna lather it with water. With this bucket, I'm probably gonna empty the bucket, but I'm gonna put like a towel or something. If you're doing it inside, you want to put some towels, maybe a little tarp if you can. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna soak the leathers, get them nice and wet, and then I'm gonna take this broom back here. I actually have a pole for this, but I think I left it at the barn. I'm gonna take this broom right here, and I'm gonna put it between the two stirrups, and it's gonna hold the stirrups straight, so that when you're getting on and off, you don't have to turn your stirrup. You're not having to turn your stirrup by hand. It's gonna stay that way. I'm gonna give y'all another video on how to do that, but I'm gonna go ahead and finish cleaning my saddle, and I will get back with you guys in just a moment.